A few of my architecture construction companies, and they all connect together, and there's no kind of
That's what you do?
Yeah. So I'm architecture.
Oh, okay.
And I connect with all the architects that I've worked with. I've worked for 2 different construction companies, and my friends work with them as well. So you've got Hawkins and Fletchers and Naylor Love and Lee's Construction, and they're all sharing information because it's not actually sharing critical information, you know? Yeah.
Oh, can I get one of your cards?
I don't have any. I'll talk to the boss about that. You can. Yeah, I'll write you the details.
Or you can do that later.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I've probably got about 25 minutes worth of stuff here. So, but it's really good to have the questions. So if you guys would, it's up to you whether I go through what I prepared or whether you just fire away with questions. Yeah. Okay. So one of the first things I thought of that when we first started with LinkedIn, many of us didn't do, and now we're going back and doing, is all the planning that's needed. So it all starts off with our target market, and talking about making connections, messaging, profile, and content, and working in groups. I've got this on the handout, the first section. So if we were to think firstly about the target market, the key things we're thinking about, who are they from a perspective where if we could describe them, who are they, what do they look like, everything we've talked about this weekend about personas, and the chap who had 3 of them and many pages. Knowing that is really valuable from the perspective that we need to be writing our profiles so that they really tune in to who our target market is, how they think, and what's actually going to make them want to talk to us. We need to think about their core problems and how we solve those problems. So if we think about the summary section, what we're focusing on is a description and a question about who they are. It might be like, are you a business owner who's feeling frustrated that you're just not getting enough leads to your business? And you wish it could be easier, more simple and consistent. And then you might go into, so that's covering who they are from a really simple perspective. They're a small business owner and their problem is, and then describing the problem. Then covering off with what the solution is. I supply a one-on-one training, coaching programs, or training online that you can access 24/7 that can address some of the problems that you're experiencing, and then have the links or to be able to link. We do have, I'm going to cover this a bit later, we actually have a problem on summaries that we don't have clickable links, so we use other things as a workaround. But the whole profile's around target market, core problems and solution, and a call to action so they actually do something after that. The whole goal of LinkedIn is that we make the connections so that we can build a win-win relationship. So it doesn't stop. We can communicate to go beyond the invitation to connect or the invitation to connect to us. Then we have a greater opportunity of developing a relationship. I'm always looking for, okay, what is that win-win relationship? If I find them as a target market, they're in my target market, and I see something in their profile, I'm thinking, what is the genuine value? Not because I want them to buy my product or service, but what is the genuine value to them that would interest them, that I can give them as soon as possible. So we also start creating our messaging around that too. So we make a connection and we want to have a plan so that we know what we're going to be messaging on a sequential basis, so they get to know us a little bit better and we get to know them a little bit better. They get to reply to those messages as well. But it could be a message around What you know, you might pull snippets of information that are part of the education process to solve those problems. In the architecture process, maybe it's about thinking there's a lot of information I need to give these clients before they actually decide that I'm the one, or even begin to think about what my personality is and therefore what's my architectural design going to be like. So there might be a whole lot of things where you decide to have your messaging strategy around 5 different stages of their buyer's journey, or 5 different types of questions that they go that kind of clarify things by the time you actually get to talk to them. So the goal is just to keep nurturing the relationship, nurture the education process, nurture them, get them ready for the beginning of those sales conversations. One of the mistakes I see is that when people first send a request to connect, it's not necessarily tailored to the person, and that can be because of several reasons. Because LinkedIn has when they suggest who you connect with, you may know this person. If you connect on the connect button, the message just goes automatically, and you don't even get a chance to tailor the message to the person you're wanting to connect with. So you need to actually right click on the profile and then go into the connect on their profile and then tailor the message to them. So if you're tailoring them that first message, you'd be looking for something on their profile you can comment on that might create a bond and a affinity. It might be that you see they're connected to someone that you know, usually, or there's something really interesting that they've done in their working life that you think, oh, I find that intriguing, and just quickly mention that in the connection message. You don't get many characters to do that with, but if you can put in even a little bit to break the ice, it helps with them. I do want to mention a couple of tips, a couple of tools that help with attracting and managing leads, and they're free built-in tools, and I wish we had them these days, but LinkedIn's put them in the last few years. They have a built-in CRM system. It's quite simple, but it does make things more efficient. You can automate follow-up reminders. So if you've made your connection, for instance, or someone you want to contact later but they haven't replied to your connection request, or you aren't ready to connect with them but you think, I'll do that later, you can actually use the CRM system and ask LinkedIn to send a reminder either a day later, a week later, a month later, or on a recurring basis. And on a recurring basis, you can use that to remind you to get your messages out as well. You can also segment those your database with that CRM tool. So you might decide to segment it based on how you met them, what kind of product you might be offering them, what stage they're in the sales process. So you can use it various ways. You might want to use even all those ways. I use about 20 different categories, so I cover a few of those types of topics. You can also make notes just like you would with any CRM. So that's one way LinkedIn tries to make it easy for you to manage leads. Another nifty tool, have you heard of Saved Searches?
Saved Searches?
Have you heard of Saved Searches? Saved Searches, have you heard of that one?
What's that?
Saved Searches. It's a nifty tool where LinkedIn sends you leads. So then you set your criteria